Hi everyone, I'm Grattles, and welcome to what I've learned with 2,500 hours in this game. So, I played and restarted so many times when I first started playing. It's crazy. I would start a game, I would feel like I could do it better, start it over, and yeah, I never finished a playthrough. But anyway, let's start with what I've learned with 2,500 hours. Over 25, it's almost 2,600 hours in this game. I can't stop playing it. I played a couple of different ways. I've played with belt systems, I played with mega factories, I played with separate factories, I played with trains, just so many ways I played. I finished the game, I think, 3 times. All 3 times I had accomplishments turned off because I used advanced settings. Not a big deal. I know I can make the accomplishments, but yeah, I turned off spiders because my friend was afraid. So don't do that if you want accomplishments. I'm doing a playthrough right now that I am not turning off spiders because I'm not afraid of them. I just have the cat thing on them. It's fine, and I have them as passive. First thing I think I've learned is storage is crucial. So what I mean by that is a lot of people do 100% efficiency, which is fine. You know, if you want to do that, that's great. What I found out was that to get through the game faster, if there was something I was lacking in, because you never know how much you're going to need to complete the game, right? So you never know how many reinforced plates or rotors or stators or anything like that you're going to need, because later parts take it. And if you make, say, on a 480 belt, you make it efficient to 480, and, you know, the next thing you need way more than that, storage is going to be crucial. And if you have the space, then why not store it? So a lot of times storage saved my ass, I'm not gonna lie, because by the time I was making a new part that needed the old part, I already had 6 storage bins filled with it. So by the time it caught up, the next item was already stored. So I already had plenty of that item to make the next item, if that makes sense. So yeah, number 1, if you want to get through the game faster, storage is necessary. With that being said, you can do the most minimalistic build you want. It will just take you longer, and it won't be efficient to get to the end. When should I start building my factories? So you can only produce as fast as your belts, right? So the first belt you get is 60. Then you get another belt that's 120. Then you get another one that's 270. I said 280, it's 270. And then the 4th belt is 480. By that point you get your Mark II miners, which will help because I think production on a Mark II miner on a normal node is only like 300 overclocked. So you still don't get the 480, but on a pure node, you'll get 480 overclocked twice. So with that being said, I would say start your factories at 480. Now, when do you get the 480 belts? Well, let's jump into the hub and I'll show you. So here in your hub, we go to... That's logistics 3, that's beams, so that's 270. Number 5, if we go down, logistics 4 is tier 5. You're saying, well, that's already mid-game, right? Why would I do it now? Well, there's so many things that get way more complicated as you go through your tiers and you get more milestones. That logistics floor is... Logistics 4... Logistics 4, not floor, is where you want to be. Before that, everything is very inefficient. And if you really want to make factories that are at least good to go for pretty much endgame, 480 is kind of where you want to be. Up until that point, you can set up huge temporary setups and unlock to tier 5 very quick. What I end up doing is I speed run to tier 5. Tier 5, yes. And get to that milestone. And that way, wow, I'm missing a wall piece. It's fine. And that way, when I build, at least I could build a pretty good, efficient factory. So, yeah, my suggestion, my suggestion would be for 80 belts. That would be my starting point of when I start my factories. And it just seems like the most efficient way to do it. Alright, so number 3 is belt systems. If you want to use belt systems to push things around, my suggestion is you're going to use a lot less belt systems if you produce your items that make sense in the factories that you're producing the lesser items in. What I mean by that is, in my iron factory, I'm producing rods, screws, and plates, but I'm also producing rotors, modular frames, and reinforced plates. Why? Because each one of those takes an iron product. The reinforced plates is plates and screws. The rotors are screws and rods. And the modular frames are reinforced plates with rods. So let me break in, and here you go. So if you keep everything you're making as close as possible, like that makes the most sense. And especially for an iron factory, you could produce all those items there. In a belt system, I used to put plates and screws and rods and everything on the belt system, but it didn't make sense when I could produce it really close by. So yeah, my suggestion is if you can build it nearby, then do it that way. The stuff that I ran all the way around to that side, I think for motors, that were on this side, but it's just that I wanted to spread things out. So if you build things that take similar parts close by, you could use a lot less belts. And that would be my suggestion, is build things close together that kind of go together. There's a lot of things that will take copper and iron. You could keep those close together. And when you're first playing the game and you've never played it before, you're really not going to know what parts take what later on down the game. And even now, I struggle to work out how many parts. I mean, I could sit down and make a spreadsheet, but I don't want to do that. So I don't do that. But like stators here, for instance, they take pipes. That's an alternative recipe. If I was going for the other recipe, this one, it takes wire, but I'm using this one, which takes quick wire. So that is stators. Motors, again, rotors and stators. So, you know, you could keep it close to your iron and your copper factory, but again, you're going to need steel on top of that. So it gets very convoluted very fast, but, you know, you can get through it and have less belts going around your system if you build close by. Alright, number 4, you can spend hours trying to figure out with the Satisfactory wiki and all those things, what parts go to what. And again, if you use alternative recipes, it's going to change that very quickly. So you can spend hours researching exactly what parts you want to go for, but yeah, you're going to have to get a lot of hard drives if you want alternative recipes, and then you got to be lucky that you get those alternative recipes inside the space that you're building this, you know, part. So if you want the alternative recipe for stators, you're going to have to make sure that, you know, you get that alternative recipe, you know, when you're ready to build stators. And that kind of brings me up to number 5. So let's go in the hub a second. Number 5. When to get the hard drives, when to scan the hard drives, and what's a good time for a recipe that you want. So when you was getting hard drives, I would get them very early on. You know, as soon as you open up like field research and you have the map now, go hunting. You want to do that stuff really early. get your power slugs, get your summer sloops, get your mercer spheres, but also grab parts from hard drives and crash sites, I should say. Crash sites will give you extra parts to help you speed through your milestones and your tiers to get to your logistics 4, if that's where you want to start. But it also will help you to unlock recipes. So at the very beginning, we get screws here, as you can see, milestone number 3. If you want the alternative recipe, which is cast screws, you're going to want to scan that hard drive as soon as you have this option in here with screws. And the reason being is, if you do it after that, you'll get more recipes for other items in higher tiers. So if I try to hit tier 3, if I send the space elevator out and I still haven't gotten cast screws, I'm gonna get a lot more recipes for all the later stuff. And so it's gonna be a lot harder to get those cast screws. So I would scan that hard drive immediately to get cast screws. And usually if you do it early enough, you'll get it. Now, if you're looking for a alternative recipe for, say, oil, you're not going to get that alternative recipe until you open up oil processing. Then once those recipes are available for the base game, then you will get alternative recipes. So make sure you scan your hard drives at the right times. If you're just scanning and you don't even know what you want, you might want to wait until you get a little further. So there might be a possibility that you'll get the recipe, the alternative recipe you're looking for. So be careful when you scan those hard drives. So, yep, let's go ahead and get to number 6. So number 6 is transportation in this game. Now, I built this kind of mega factory, multi-factory, and even getting from this side to this side is a pain, or getting from this end to that end. Take advantage of your hypertubes, trains. You can use all those things that actually, even trucks, even if you don't want to use trucks to move products, you may want to use trucks just to get around in your factory or in your world. It makes it a little bit faster, but my suggestion is take the time to place a hypertube, even if it's not pretty. It will get you from one place to another very quickly. Hypertubes are so convenient. You get them pretty early. I think you need plastic and stuff, but they are very convenient to get from one place to another quickly. Take advantage of transportation and use trains. Trains are a simple way to bring in products. It makes things so much easier when bringing products in or out. So whether it's ore coming in or whether it's, I don't like that, products going out, or coming in with products. Like here, I think, well, I don't even know what this is. What is that? That looks like it's bringing in nitrogen gas. It's so much easier to do it with trains. Trains are not as hard as they look. They can be a little intimidating, but once you get to know them, especially a push-pull train where you just go into one space and coming back and you're not interlocking trains, is super simple to make and super efficient to use. So I would say that, yeah, transportation, make sure you use it. And even hypertubes, there's a lot of people that don't use hypertubes. You can really get from one place to another. I used it around the whole factory to get to one side to the other. So yeah, transportation, use your transportation. It's definitely worth it. So number 7 is rocket fuel. Rocket fuel over nuclear. I did nuclear my first playthrough with you guys on the Best Start 1 series. The Best Start 2, I decided to do rocket fuel. It is not too complicated. It looks complicated. I did a step-by-step playthrough for you. showing you each step. But it's a lot less deadly. You get it a lot earlier, and it produces a lot of power. To the end game, I still have quite a few. Actually, let's take a look. If I come down, let's grab a power pole here. I produced way more power than I actually needed. So if I were to come in here, 72,000, I have 126. So I'm only consuming 42 to 4, you know. But rocket fuel is the way to go, honestly. Nuclear can get very convoluted. It's very deadly. Let me show you a little bit of my nuclear and how crazy it can be. Alright, so here's the nuclear power plant I have over here. Apparently I'm missing a ground floor here. That's fine. And it's kind of cool. If you've never done nuclear before, do it. I would do it at least once. But I would probably wait until I was a little bit more familiar with the game and radiation levels and, you know, hazmat suits and, you know, definitely filters. I have no filters, apparently. So, yeah, as you can see, it's very radioactive over here. And it does get a little bit crazy. There's a lot of nuclear material over here. And as you can see, it's all the way over here. I'm still not out of the radioactive thing. So, if you're new to the game and you want to save this maybe till another playthrough, I would definitely recommend waiting until you are more comfortable with the game before you do that. But anyway, here's with nuclear, right? I'm pretty low here. I don't know if that's not connected or what. So yeah, I mean, my production, my max cons is way over the production I'm even making. That's where rocket fuel came in handy, because I'm actually making a lot of power, and I don't have to worry about it. So, yeah, I would definitely use rocket power over nuclear. But if you've never done nuclear, try it at least once. So, number 8. In this world, I have everything spread out quite a bit. I'll show you my map in a minute once I finish falling, apparently. So, yeah, here we go. I'm gonna sit right here on the trains, and hopefully I don't die. Well, let's try to get over here a little bit more. There we go. Alright, so here I have everything spread out quite a bit. I even have a dismantled crate. Who knew? I tried to clean those up, but apparently I didn't. So, if it's your first playthrough in the game, I would suggest doing a mega factory or building things really close by and bringing your ores to you with belt systems and stuff like that, because it would make the game, finishing the game, a lot easier. Even if you had to handcraft things or, you know, set up temporary setups just to complete the game, it's a lot easier if everything is close by. So if you've never completed the game before and it's your first time just playing through, I would try to keep things as close as possible. In this way, it won't discourage you from bringing things from far away and, you know, bringing them in and you're like, oh, that's all the way across the world. I don't want to do that. And yeah, you'll get discouraged very easily if you've never played the game through and everything is quite far away. So my suggestion is, if you've never played the game yet, you've never played it all the way through to the end, to absolutely build either your factory is very close or a mega factory all in one. That would be the smartest way to kind of get through your game on your first playthrough. Because when things are super spread out, it gets much more difficult to kind of bring those materials everywhere. So, yep, I would build things super close together and it would make it a lot easier. So that's going to bring me to number 9. So number 9, blueprinting. Blueprinting is the fastest, easiest way to get through the game. It does belt systems, train systems, anything you want with blueprints. Your first set of blueprints, let's go into our hub here. and see what we get here. So your first set of blueprints is right here in tier 4. It's the Mark 1. It's a 4x4. That is the one you'll probably use the most because you get it so early in the game. But blueprinting stuff makes things a lot faster, a lot easier to do. So if I were to load, say, just belt systems, right? Let's load a belt system. That was one of the belt systems I made. And it moved 8 items, whether it's ore, products, whatever. And you can link up your electric. Your electric does not automatically connect. You will have to manually connect this to the next one. But blueprinting and actually setting up like belts like this, that would take you forever to do, works so nicely. Let me just give you a little example. If I go into blueprinting and we go to the belts there that we got here, the belts, the bus here. Let's just see if we can line this up. Let's press H. You can definitely use your H. Line this up, so as you can see, that doesn't line up with the foundation. That now does. You click it in, and you want to auto connect this. So if I press R, auto connect, if I go like this and spin it around, you could see it locks in. It might be a little bit off, so you might want to press H, bring it in. Whoops, that's too far. And you see those little lock mechanisms, and lock it in. That'll build everything for you. And then all you have to do is connect your electricity. Now these guys are all connected back and front, forward and back, and I'm syncing. So this way, it's got electrified all the way around. So I connected all these parts up. So no matter where I connected it, from here to here, it'll all connect with electricity. And I could bring my electricity wherever I need. So that's definitely helpful. It saves a lot of time, and it just works. So blueprinting, I would suggest learn how to blueprint very early on, and this way you can build so much quicker in your worlds. So let's get to number 10. So my number 10 spot is complete the game. At least complete the game once. No matter how much you want to restart your game and say, I can do this better, I can do this more efficient, I can do this, don't do that. Don't do it. Make sure you try to organize it as best as you can and complete the game. Even if it's not efficient, even if you have to wait a little while, even if you have to set up more storage and let the game run. Again, storage is crucial if you want to just complete the game and you want to make sure you have enough materials. Just complete the game. Once you can complete the game for the first time, you get such a better understanding of the game, and every time you complete a game, you learn more, and it becomes easier and easier to finish this game. So my suggestion is just complete the game at least once. Once you do that, I'm telling you, you'll breeze through it. You'll have a better understanding of what you're doing, a better understanding about where parts are going. And like I said, you could sit down and make a spreadsheet and work your way from this all the way back to your iron factory and figure out exactly how many parts you're going to need. But, by the time you take all that time to do all that, you can just complete the game. Just complete the game. Alright, so here's some bonus tips. So you just got dropped into the world, and say you get so many parts from your drop pod. Start automating immediately. You can definitely build 3 miners and 3 constructors and at least some storage. Get that up and running immediately. You won't have to handcraft as much, and you'll be making the materials that you need to get through to the next milestones and complete those. Like just basic wire, plates, and concrete. If you just start by automating that, you could start hitting your milestones. And you could also build a little bit more quicker and automate faster. You make sure you use your biomass burners once you get the parts for that. Over in here, you're going to want to do logistics because you want to get these splitters. Getting these splitters and mergers are super important to get to split these, and this way you can use one node for each thing and you can split them and make rods. Once you're making rods and plates, you can hand automate your screws, and that's a super good way to get through the first couple of tiers that are early on. While you're making these, right, and you're waiting for these things to produce, go hunting. Going hunting and looking for hard drives, crash sites. Crash sites are another thing. Great stuff. You get advanced parts that you could either use in your store to get tickets, or just getting plates and rotors and screws. Just picking those up at crash sites will help you to get through your tiers without even making them. You can pretty much get through most of your milestones and your tiers just by picking up parts. I mean, look, cables and rods, screws. That would be my suggestion, is get started automating and go hunting early. Don't go hunting, though, before you complete this milestone right here. So if you go to field research, you get your map. So until you get this unlocked and open, you really don't want to go exploring because you're not going to start filling out your map, and you want to kind of do that. So I would definitely do like your base building, logistics, and field research. Just complete these things. If you want to do a little hunting, you kind of just go outside. Make sure you're picking up a lot of grass or leaves and wood, because that's going to be your biomass burners right out the very beginning. So when you get dropped into the world, start picking up those leaves and that wood, because you're going to be wanting to set up these biomass burners immediately so you could start automating and making enough power to get through the tiers super quickly. Well, I did do it in my Best Start 1 and 2. That is the quickest, fastest, easiest way to get through your tiers. So that would be my bonus tip, is just get through the tiers as quick as possible by automating, by picking up leaves, wood, field research, and then getting that object scanner, going out, getting the power slugs, getting the Mercer spheres, getting the crash sites. Do all that very quickly, and then letting these parts, while you're waiting for the parts to be made, because they're being made very slowly, then you can come back to your base and you could be like, wow, I have a lot more plates than I thought, and I have a lot more screws than I need, and I have a lot more concrete, and you can just submit them one after the other and let that pod go off and come back and go off and come back, and it'll be so much faster to get through the early tiers. So I'm going to leave this here. Leave your comments below. Let me know what your top tips would be. Let me know if these tips helped you in any way. Again, I have memberships, 99 cents, $2.99. If you would like to support me even more, $2.99 gets you a shout out after every video, like coming up next. And I also have a Discord where I have wonderful people in there that are willing to help you no matter what, with all sorts of games if they have knowledge about it, or just basically Satisfactory. So thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.